What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gab Lim, and Maui Up, blue na blue ang ating t-shirt tonight, Mr. Maui Up.
Siyempre.
Itigil na
Siyempre.
yung season! Itigil na yung elimination round!
Sana
Number
no?
Who would
one
have
ang
thought?
Ateneo!
Who would have thought, di ba? 3-0 start from a 0-3 start from last year.
What a turnaround indeed. So we did not
Ngayon
have a
kung
podcast.
finally masasabi, masarap maging Atenista today. Masarap maging Atenista today. Convincing
Last year ba
win by
hindi mo
the Blue
masabi
Eagles.
yun? Hindi mo ba
Last year,
masabi
hindi ko
yun
masabi.
last year, Gab?
Kung at certain points lang eh. Parang, nung nanalo tayo sa QPAV, yun, masarap noon. Pero, woo! Finally. I can have a podcast right after Ateneo game and smile.
And smile. So we are going to definitely talk about the games today, including that Ateneo win over Adamson, UP's win over first win for the season over UE, and we're going to cover the games yesterday also, which were very interesting games, I would say. And I think as promised dun sa post namin yesterday, we're going to do our first ever Ballers and Boleros of the season. So let's get started. Siguro let's start with our Ballers para positive note tayo, positive tayo. And I want to start with Mr. Blue over here, Maui Up.
Yeah, I think with the color of my shirt, you can already say kung ano sasabihin kong baller of the season, of the week so far. And I think it's Ateneo Blue Eagles. From top to bottom, coaches, players. I think yung improvement, not just the one and dones. I have to say, Vince Espinosa played a pretty good game a while ago, hitting 3 3-pointers, getting some offensive fouls. Although I would have to comment, those were two very lousy technical fouls for faking a fouls on him. I thought that both situations, you could argue that that wasn't faking a foul, but nevertheless, they were able to sneak out the win and start the season at 3-0. And I think yung win kanina showed yung potential of this team. Very disruptive on defense during the fourth quarter, despite getting out rebounded by close to 14 during the game. They forced Adamson to 22 turnovers with 11 steals, showing Adamson that they could also play a dirty, or not maybe dirty is not the good word, play a defensive type of game.
Grind it out
Physical,
game.
hard-nosed.
Grind. Physical, hard-nosed, grind out game, and shutting down Adamson during the fourth quarter and limiting them to 10 points while scoring 26 and blowing them out of the water during the fourth quarter. I think what's most impressive about the win today by Ateneo is the fact that it wasn't a Kimani Ladi game. Adamson did a pretty good job limiting si Kimani Ladi. I think he only had 3 rebounds. Still scored some points.
14?
I think he scored 14 points, but he wasn't as dominant as he was in previous games. They limited his perimeter scoring. I think they did a pretty good job. Yung coverage nila when he got the ball at the top of the key, limiting yung mid-range game niya. And Lazo, Adili, and Espinosa basically having the best game of their season. I think if I read it correctly, our friend, that statistician of the UAAP posted that they combined for 20 points, I think, in the first 2 games, and they combined for 40 plus today. If there was a game that really showcased yung potential natin, I think it was this game, where everybody pretty much did their job. Jared Bahay did not have to shoot those crazy 3-pointers to get us back in the game. A lot of the bench players contributed. I think the bench scored more points than the starting lineup. Escobar probably had his worst game, one of his worst games of the season. I love yung energy ni Bongo also. Si Tuano did a pretty good job of facilitating, and I think what he really got Divine going during this game with 3 very good drop passes to him when the defense collapsed. And definitely, you can see why Ateneo is 3-0 right now. They've showcased how Coach Tabas is really one of the best UAP coaches, diba? He's shown yung sets niya from the first 3 games. They've been a pretty good offensive team, but this game showcased that they could also play a grinded out game and shut down one of the top defensive teams. I think the Ateneo basically played their best quarter, both offensively and defensively nung fourth quarter, and this shows yung potential nila for the season. So I think a lot of Ateneo fans are definitely excited and maybe over the moon yung expectations right now. You could probably include me and Gab to that list, who have crazy expectations after this blowout win against Adamson, and very good for Ateneo to turn around this team in a season's time.
I definitely agree. I had them as one of my ballers. I would have wanted to start with another team that beat the 2 preemptive contenders for this season, but we'll get to them later. But yeah, I did have Ateneo. I mean, they're on top of the standings at 3-0. How can you not have them as baller of the week?
Hindi na daw kailangan baliktarin.
Hindi na kailangan baliktarin. Exactly. Ako, I'm just so happy na we get to celebrate like this again after an Ateneo game on a Sunday night. It's awesome. I do want to bounce off your points, Maui. First, on Ian Espinosa, amazing job of the bench. Got limited minutes in the first 2 games, but stayed ready. I'm gonna get my time. I'm gonna get my chance, and he stayed ready for this game. Got his chance to sub for Jared Bahay and contributed. 10 points. I agree with Maui. I thought those last 2 faking of fouls on him. I thought the first one, he was actually fouled. They called the foul. And then
they called the foul, but they said it was faking a foul. So, ano ba talaga, ref, di ba?
So, no idea there. The second one, he hit a ball in Cedric Manzano and fell down. Cedric Manzano is a foot, siguro more than a foot taller than Ian than Ian, and he flew. And how I don't get how that's faking a foul though. But it is what it is. Now, I know he's now for this season. I do want to clarify this point. I'm not sure if this is well publicized rule change for this upcoming season, but there are no automatic suspensions. I think the UAAP released a statement on that when Commissioner Jai Reyes was interviewed. So they will review first how the player got his unsportsmanlike or how he got his technical fouls, and then we'll decide if he will be suspended for the next game. So walang automatic suspensions for this season. Okay? So before except for Ski because it happened last season. So I know. So if Ian Espinosa plays in the next game, I'm sure some people will cry out that it's Luto. Bakit si Momowei last season yung na-suspend and all that. Okay, so there's no automatic suspensions for this season. At least that's what I read from the UAAP. Okay, but yung tama si Maui, I think this was a classic Tab Baldwin style Ateneo win. Diba? The characteristics of how Coach Tab used to build his teams. One, great defense. I thought for the most part of this game, Ateneo played terrific defense, especially in that fourth quarter. Their defense was awesome. They were covering everyone except for Matt Erolon, apparently, because he was getting off those long-range threes. Stop going under the screens, Dom. You might want to challenge him from that distance because he can't shoot it there. But yeah, the defense was awesome. And to play a style similar to Adamson's for 3 quarters and still come out on top after 3 quarters, that's amazing. And to put the pressure and get Adamson to that many turnovers, I think speaks volumes to how this team has embraced that defensive identity. And second, yung tama si Maui, just like the Tab Baldwin teams in the past, you don't know where the offense is gonna come from. Diba? Yes, si Kimani Ladi has been the constant top scorer, I think, or one of the top scorers for the first 3 games. But you don't know where the production is gonna come from next. In the first game, it was from Jared Bahay and it was from Dom Escobar. Second game, it came from Waki Espina. In this game, it came from Ian Espinosa. It came from Jaden Lazo. It came from Divine Adili. This was the characteristic of Tab Baldwin, especially back in his three-peat days. Now, I'm not saying this Ateneo team is championship caliber, at least not yet. Pero this is how Tab Baldwin's teams played. Diba? On any random game, you'll have a SJ Belangel explosion. You'll have a Tyler Teo explosion. You'll have Adrian Wong yung firing up 5 threes. You'll have Isaac Go contributing. You can get offense from anywhere. This is how they love to run their offense. They move the ball, they distribute. And for this game, I thought, especially in that second half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, ang ganda ng ball movement nila. They were sharing the basketball, not forcing anything, not going through tight angles, not forcing contested shots, but rotating the basketball, finding open shooters, finding Divine Adili inside the paint and converting. I thought that was a spectacular showing, both offensively.
23 assists.
Yep.
27 made field goals.
Exactly, Maui. Again, another characteristic of Tab Baldwin's system. Majority of their field goals come assisted. You look back at the past Tab Baldwin teams, this is it. This is how they love to play. I hope that they can build on this, the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Now, do they have stuff to work on? Definitely. Rebounding-wise, they do. OJ Ojorikre looked like Reggie Evans in the first quarter. He was grabbing everything. To those who
Dwight
know
Howard
Reggie.
nga eh. Mas parang Dwight Howard eh.
Sige, fine. Si Dwight Howard. Ako, mas Reggie Evans because he wasn't scoring a lot naman. So, so if you know kung sino si Reggie Evans, malamang masakit ang mga tuhod nyo. Pero, definitely, rebounding needs work. They do miss some defensive assignments sometimes still. So, I know yung Tab Baldwin is gonna put that in the video session. But overall, great start to the season for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. However, am I gonna say Ateneo is fully back? Is back? Not yet. I'm not yet gonna say that. I know some fans will preemptively say that Ateneo is back, fully back. Siguro for me, it's 50% yung that they're back. At least that they're beating the teams that were beating them last season. Remember? We lost to UE, we lost to FAU in the first round. We beat those two teams. We lost to Adamson in the second round yung last season. We beat them convincingly. But the gauntlet is coming. Ateneo's last 4 games of the first round are LaSalle, UP, UST, and then NU. That is a gauntlet. They could easily be 3-3 by next week. So we're celebrating that they're 3-0 now. By next week or by next week they could easily be 3-4. Diba? If they lose to all these really good teams. Diba? LaSalle UP, I think that tells you all. No, and UST, who is undefeated currently, just beat UP and LaSalle. And U is undefeated as well. So this is now the test for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. You want to prove that you are contenders, that you can battle for a championship. You have to run this gauntlet. You have to at least beat two of those teams of two of those 4 teams. You can't go 0-4. If you go 0-4, that is a death sentence for me. Especially to make the Final Four, mahirap na yon to go 0-4. So for me, at least beat 2. So it's gonna be a tough task, but if you're an Ateneo fan, you have reasons to be happy. They look cohesive in the fourth quarter a while ago. Again, you people are gonna point out Jared Baha is a boss, only scored 3 points. I thought he played one of his better games because he didn't force anything. He was just running the offense and letting his teammates do all the scoring for him. I think Austin Ronzon started out on Jared Bahay, also in the zone, the
You
Remogat
called it, Gab,
stopper.
sa chat natin.
Yeah.
We were talking about it.
The Remogat stopper in their last game, si Austin Ronzone, and he was on Jared Bahay, but Jared Bahay did not force up any shots. He was letting his teammates do it. He had 6 assists. So obviously he's pretty comfortable not getting too many shots. He shot 5 field goals. So I'm not worried. He scored only 3 points, his lowest scoring game, but I thought he played his best game. He did. I think he had 0 turnovers. Tama ba? If I'm not
Yeah,
diba?
zero
Yes.
turnovers.
0.
0
3
turnovers,
steals,
diba?
6 assists.
And I'm glad you mentioned the steals, Sammy, because underrated, his defense is really getting better. Way better than last season, at least. Last season, he was, I think, a cone on defense. I would be the first to say that. He was like a cone. People were going around him. Now he's not letting people go past him. His hands are more active. He's more active on the passing lanes. So I'm happy from what I've seen from Jared Bahay. Is he at the level of Ian Espinosa? I don't think so. Is he at the level of Jerry Abadiano? I don't think so. But he's definitely getting better. And he definitely, you got the message. Nanonood ng bolero si Jared Bahay. So nakita niya.
Shout
na
out to you, Jared Bahay.
Shout out to Jared Bahay. So I think yung nakita niya yung ating criticism of his defense last season, and he's definitely gotten the message. And I'm happy that he's now...
nilagay sa top point guards, kaya may
Hindi ko rin nilagay siya sa top
Kasalanan
point
mo to,
guard.
Gab. Chip on his
Nanonood nga
shoulder.
siya ng Boleros. Someone probably sent that list to him. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy. I think rightfully so, they are one of the ballers of the week. Sammy?
Yeah, I think you guys covered everything. I wanted to shout out Ian Espinosa for one of my ballers also from Ateneo. I think this guy we were really high on nung preseason. He looked really good the entire preseason. Did not get to play much during the first 2 games and stayed ready, sabi mo nga, Maui. And sa akin, kahit tinawagan siyang technical, kahit thrown out of the game siya, that was worth it, Ian Espinosa, because you had yourself a game. Big win for you, big game for you. You mentioned si Shawn Tuano. I think he didn't score today, but I think it was really good playmaking and drawing the defense to get other teammates open. And I think that's like something that's a different part of Shawn's game then. You don't have to score now, not like last season na Shawn was forced to score because we were getting 24-second shot clock violations from most of the time. So most of the time we just threw the ball to Shawn, let Shawn score. But now Shawn can just play make. He doesn't have to score. Other guys can step up. That's what I love about this team. But the guy that I really want to talk about that maybe didn't get talked about as much is Divine Adili. This guy has been playing hurt, and
It's obvious that he's hurt, Sam. Obvious.
yeah, this guy's been playing hurt. We heard about it when they started their game against FEU. People, Maui, you said it. People were surprised Kyle Ong started nung first game nila against FEU. Today, Kyle Ong also started for Ateneo. I messaged sa chat natin, Gab, sabi ko, this guy is having a hard time like shooting the ball. He took like 2 really bad shots, I think, in the first half. Yung isa parang buzzer beater na semi-hook na air ball. He babied it. Sabi mo, Gab, walang lift. It's obvious that he's playing hurt. But when he was actually...
pa. Ni Manzano.
Tas nadaganan pa ni Baby Boy Manzano of all people na pwede mahulog sa'yo. Si Baby Boy Manzano
Mabigat
pa.
na Baby Boy yun.
We've interviewed two guys on this podcast, Mason Amos and VJ Pre, and both have said Baby Boy Manzano is a wall. Like, pag matamaan ka o mabangga ka ni Baby Boy, masakit yung katawan mo the next day. So, dagdag mo pa yon sa problema ni Divine. But he was actually player of the game. Scored 16 points, his career high. And I like what he said. Coach Tab talked to him. Coach Tab said, you have to give 100% no matter what. This is the UAAP, you have to give 100%. And I think post-game interview, Coach Tab mentioned that also. Even though he's not 100%, he has to give 100%. Health-wise, even though he's not 100, he has to give 100%. And I like that about Divine. This reminds me of Ange Kwame during season 85 when he had like an ACL injury or knee injury, a really bad injury,
ACL. Partially
and he
torn
had to.
ata.
And you can see he was really slow versus like his previous seasons. He played through that all throughout the season. Helped Ateneo wouldn't have won that championship if it weren't for Ange Kwame's
Oh yeah,
MVP
definitely
level
not.
performance in the finals also. So kudos to you, Divine, for playing it out. We can see how much you're hurting. So, shout out to Divine Adili. Moving on, Gab. Grabe, isang baller pa lang tayo. But let's move on to
Sabi ko
your
sa'yo
baller
eh.
pick, Gab.
Yeah, but I did shout them out a while ago. We have to give a baller of the week to the UST Growling Tigers. We already talked about their win extensively against the UP Fighting Maroons. But yesterday, whoo-wee! That was a game. That was one heck of a game from the UST Growling Tigers in their win against the De La Salle Green Archers because they were trailing for majority of this game.
Yeah.
They were trailing. I think their last lead before they took the lead in the fourth quarter was at 9-8. And then they just kept at it. They were down by double digits at one point in the third. They were down by double digits. I think
Kala ko magpo-pull away na yung Lasal nun.
yeah, 68-56. Alam ko yun, si Mason had hit 3 threes at that point. So I thought that was the game. But no, UST kept on coming. Collins Akoe, slow first half, but reserved it for the second half. And even in that fourth quarter, minama niya lahat ng bigs ng Lasal. Even Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips could not dominate the glass because Collins Akoy was incredibly active on the boards. I don't think he even subbed out for the entire second half. He was playing the entire time. Heck, I don't even think he subbed out the whole game. I might be mistaken.
Played 36 minutes.
Ayun, 36. But I do remember he didn't sub out nearly the entire fourth quarter or even the entire second half. Because I think si Koji Benaflor was not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benaflor was out with flu. A flu, I think.
Yeah, so yun. One of their backup bigs was not there, so he definitely played his heart out. I think he did. Did he end with a 20-20 or 20-19, something like that. So
19.
I have to give a
19
so
lang.
so 20-19. If there's a front runner right now for MVP, it's probably Collins Okoye.
The real MVP.
The real MVP, not the UAAP MVP. We don't care about that. So for the real MVP award, the Boleros MVP award, it's Collins Okoye right now. He is dominating and going up against Mike Phillips. That is a true test, and he passed it with flying colors. Mike Phillips might have gotten a ton of layups in the first quarter. I think he got the left-handed one, spin move left-handed. You got a putback. You got another layup on him in the first quarter. But Collins Okoye never stopped, kept on playing, did not get into foul trouble. So without Koji Benaflor, he stayed in the game, took care of his fouls, and delivered the win for the UST Growling Tigers. And I do have to give a shout out to Nick Cabanero. Had a bad first game, only 9 points. This game, I thought he carved up the LaSalle defense. He carved all the wings. All the wings, all the guards, everyone who was put on him, he blew by them all. And I've always said this. This guy is a mismatch. Wherever you put him, smaller guards cannot guard him because he's huge. Bigger guys cannot guard him because he's quick. He's a mismatch problem. He showed it yesterday against LaSalle. Fortsky, good first half. I would say mediocre second half, but
he was bad in the middle, actually.
Yeah, he was bad. Kaya nga nung mga third quarter, medyo buti na lang.
Nakakainis siya.
Buti na lang. And I do want to give a shout out to this guy. Kyle Paranada is playing a heck of a season. So far, in 2 games, He's been really good. I think he was better than Fortsky yesterday. Way better. Now, the unsportsmanlike
I
fouls
agree.
don't help. But he's been playing really well. And if it weren't for Cal Paranada, I would say that UST could easily have been 0-2 because he had a big first game against UP. You remember, probably the only player outside of Colin Sokoe who actually got his shot falling against UP, and he delivered also here in the win against LaSalle. Only 9 points, but crucial 9 points. Um, what else do I say? Yeah, for LaSalle though, the biggest knock that I would say for this game is when they were up 68 to 56. And Coach Topex, I think, pulled 4 of the 5 players on the court. And then hinabol sila. That was, I think, one of the bigger coaching blunders so far this season. I highly doubted that substitution by Coach Topex. I think Mason got into foul trouble and he was cooking Akoe
Yeah.
on offense. But at that point, I did want Coach Topex to at least keep Mike on the floor and then pair him with LeBron James Daep and then more shooters. But he put in Gian Gomez. Now I know Gian Gomez had a good basket in the first half against Portsky Padrigao, but really you're putting in Gian Gomez right now in the third quarter of a big game. I very suspect decision by Coach Topex. So, good win for UST and beating UP and LaSalle. That's no joke. I think we can officially classify them as contenders now. Officially, I don't know if you guys agree, but UST is my baller of the week.
Maui.
Yeah, actually, kung di ako biased with the Ateneo win, we would have probably said UST first. But I wanted to give the spotlight to Ateneo, who was started 3-0, but UST has been more impressive. Anytime you can beat the two finalists, who are still, based on most accounts, the favorites for this season, UP and LaSalle, I think you would have to say that you could classify them as legitimate contenders. 'Di ba? Kasi in previous seasons, we always talk about NU not beating the top teams. This is UST sending the message on their first 2 games that they are for real, they are legit. And I think it's bouncing off some of the points Gab mentioned. I think what's impressive with with the 2 wins of UST, Portsky and Caballero haven't had to carry the offensive load so much. Maybe you could say si Caballero was spectacular during this game, but they haven't had to force things so much. I think that's something that I was so impressed during this game. Si Caballero was doing the work, not just creating his own shot, but slashing to the basket, getting rebounds, getting putbacks, and I think that's when you know that a team is really good. When you don't have to overly rely on a couple of people. Diba? You could say that Paranada has been the bright spot for UST, and I agree. He's been more controlled. He hasn't really been forcing the issue, and I think it's helped. Diba? Yung turnovers na has been lower. He's been shooting better from the field. He hasn't launched a ton of 30-footers, something that you've seen, I think, in the previous seasons. But I think a lot of credit goes also to their wing players. Di ba? Si Asido has been low-key pretty good as an all-around forward. And I can just see him becoming a potential Dylan Ababu maybe in the future if he keeps on developing his game. He's not scoring a lot of points, but he's rebounding, he's defending, he's playmaking for his team, not forcing the issue. He scored 13 points during the game against LaSalle. We haven't even seen si Mark Lemit blow up, diba, this season. Jello Crisostomo hasn't even been that consistent. So I think there's some upside to UST when you talk about it. And that's when you know that you have a good team. When you have more than 2 to 3 players that you can rely on. When it's not just the Fortsky Padrigao or Caballero show. When it's just not just the Colin Sacoe show, di ba? I think a lot of UST has yung talent level ng UST this season is pretty much up there. When you talk about maybe the best 8 to 10 players, maybe not 16-man deep, but when you talk about maybe matching up with the top 8 to 10 rotational guys, I would say that UST has a firepower. And I think what's been most impressive about their first two games is yung defensive intensity nila. Something that we talked about the whole preseason, something that most people were concerned about. I think it's one of the main reasons why we couldn't say that they would be a perennial contender this season. And they've shown that they could get defensive stops when they need to. Colin Sakoe has been as better than advertised. I think that's something that we could say. Nobody expected this type of Colin Sakoe this early in the UAAP, and they've done a masterful job. I think shout out to Jolo Tomayo, somebody who they got to really work on their strength and conditioning and skills. So USC has done a pretty good job, and I've said this, I've tweeted this. I think this is the UST host magic. When UST is the host of the UAP, they're a different type of beast, and so far they look like one of the scariest team in the UAP. I would hopefully they can maintain this same type of intensity when they're going up against the other teams. Let's see. So far, very unpredictable start to the UAP season.
Just another shout out to Collins, going 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. So he's working. He's working on it. So you can see the work is. So we've seen his conditioning is definitely improved. He's slimmer. He looks better conditioned. He can run. He can play a whole half.
He can play Konate minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And we're definitely working on his free throws. 4 out of 5 is no joke. That's 80%. Low attempts, far from the 21 he took against UP. But still, you go 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. Precious Momowei could only dream of going 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. So, my hat off to you, Colin Sakoe.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think UST, if you were to choose dun sa mga schools sa schools right now, UST would probably be the most impressive in terms of like the wins that they were able to get, no. 2-0 lang sila, Ateneo is 3-0, but as you guys mentioned, it was against the top two teams. Probably still the favorites to make it to the finals. Well, maybe not now because UST has just shown us na they can hang with the big boys. So, UST should be on the top of our ballers list. I'm happy that Gab, you mentioned Kyle Paranada because I had that in my notes. Parang I said, is Kyle Paranada better than Fortsky right now? Because he's been very crucial to this to the two UST wins. Obviously, Fortsky was not there nung first game, but dito sa second game, like if you look at the stats, I think Fortsky ended up with scoring more points than Paranada, but especially that like middle of the game where it was starting to get out of hand for UST. I think Kyle Paranada did a really good job. I don't know. For me, I've said this sa chat natin. For me, parang sometimes si Fortsky parang not really that into the game or not as focused. Sometimes he takes a lot of risks. Hindi nga actually sometimes. He takes a lot of risks. He tries to go for steals and naiiwan siya nung man niya. I think there was like a play na Fortsky tried to get a foul on someone and then he was called for a travel. May mga
Yung
ganong
EJ
plays.
Goliana, yeah, yung
EJ
nakalayup
Goliana, right.
EJ Goliana, and then
Yeah.
Forsky tried to do the Trae Young / Chris Paul.
Chris Paul move, yeah.
Yung haharangin yung defender.
Magpapabangga siya.
But the ref didn't fall for it, just called the travel on him.
I'm like, that's so frustrating to watch. So, but si Fortsky naman in the end, bumawi, no? And at the start was solid. So, I think Kyle Paranada has been really good for UST. And last season, I think we were calling him out because the entire first half of last season, he was really bad. I think bumawi lang siya nung second half of last season eh. But I think he's one of the bright spots na I would say was unexpected for me for UST, other than Collins Akowe dominating, Nick Caballero having a good game itong second game na to. So I think UST, Kyle Paranada, baller for me. Moving on. Okay, sige. My third baller of the week. I'll go with the other undefeated team, the NU Bulldogs. So maybe not as they're also 2-0. Maybe not as convincing as IUST who beat LaSalle and UP. NU I think beat UE the first game and then they beat FEU the second game. But they were two blowouts, and Ateneo, who was 3-0, barely made it out of FEU versus and their game against UE. But with NU, it was a blowout. And just like UST, just like Ateneo, I think what's impressive about the NU wins is yung balanced attack nila. You will consistently get 14 to 16 points from Jake Figueroa. You'll get some points from like Steve Nash, but the others have been very solid. Your boy, PJ Palasielo Gab, has been solid. I think he's really benefiting from being able to play alongside a legitimate big man in a guy like Omar John. Speaking of Omar John, I think he's legit. The preseason was not a fluke. I think he had like a 15-point game or something nung second game niya, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the comeback season of Omar John, and I know we've talked about him a lot already nung preseason, but iba pa rin pag nasa UAAP, diba? And Omar John performed really well against some of the top FSA. So Precious Momowei, we can say we used to call him one of the top FSAs, but he also played against Mo Konate. And when Omar John was interviewed, yun din ang sinabi ni Omar John, Mo Konate is the best FSA, sabi niya. He's the best he hasn't played against Akowe, but we'll see. But sabi niya, he was the best FSA last season, and I really wanted to show up and stop him and score against Mo Konate. And I think he did really well there. So, I think itong NU, maybe most of the talk has been about UST because of their two impressive wins, or about Ateneo because they're now 3-0 versus back then when they were 0-3 last season. But NU is undefeated and has been really good. They haven't really had a hard time dun sa first two games nila. Now, they will be coming up. Their upcoming game is going to be against USD. So that's going to be the first true test for NU for us to sort of say, is NU going to be a legit title contender this season? So that's, I think, a game that we should watch out for this coming Wednesday. But so far, they've been impressive. I think they also deserve to be called Ballers of the Week.
Sam, na iinis ako sa'yo, Sam. Kasi I prepared the whole minor baller to shout out our boy Omar John. He has criticized us before. He has slid down a comment. He does not like us.
If si Omar talaga yon, he does not like us. He does not like Bolero.
It's not like he doesn't like us because we picked Mo Diazana over him last preseason. So, but he was one of my baller of the week because I think NU has been very impressive defensively, and a big reason for that is Omar John. He held Precious Momowei to only 12 points and 16 rebounds in their first game, but 35% shooting from the field made it very difficult on Precious Momowei. A part of that is also on Precious Momowei, on why it was so difficult for Precious Momowei. So, I think si Precious Momowei is gonna be my new Henry Agonane for this season. I just feel it. Grabe, yung watching him kanina, pinipre-em ko na yung bolero ko, pero yun lang. But yeah, back to Omar John. I loved how he played and the defense. I was saying he held Precious Momowei to 12 points. Held Mo Konate to 8 points yesterday against FEU. And Sammy, you said 15 points. I think he scored 16 points, had 9 rebounds, 1 steal and 2 blocks, something like that.
Yeah.
And when FEU made their run in the third quarter, I think when FEU took a 1-point lead or a 2-point lead, it was answered by Omar John Hook, and FEU scored on the other end. It was answered by a Omar John 3-point play. So he's not only doing it on the defensive end, he's also hitting clutch baskets and contributing on the offensive end. As again, against what you said, Sam, as the best FSA so far in the UAAP based off last season's performance in Mokonate. I think Omar John does deserve his flowers. As you said, the off-season, the preseason looks like it's legit. And we're getting the best of Omar John so far. I hope this continues for him. I hope this continues for NU. Again, NU is finals or bust. I wouldn't say championship or bust, but finals or bust sila. Final Four, again, they've been there before. It's nothing new to them. It's whether they can take the leap into contender and make the finals. So I'm very happy for Omar. He's played really well. I'm not afraid to say that we've discounted him before. We've underrated him before, but now he has gained fans in us three. And I think he deserves to have this Baller of the Week.
Shout out to Omar John.
Yeah, I think people tend to underrate the value of an Omar John. I can't believe I'm saying it, but people tend to undervalue right now yung value of an Omar John because he's not flashy. Diba? He doesn't get 20 rebounds like Konate. He doesn't get 25 points like
he doesn't
Akoe,
even dunk.
Barely dunks, barely scores, but he's been without a doubt yung yung centerpiece nila for their defense. And I think NU fans have to be pretty excited despite losing si Akoe for this season. Kasi they played last year without an FSA. I mean, the rule change was because of them. They were supposed to be a contending team, and I have to agree with Gab. It's finals or bust for this team. And I guess yung real test will really come against UST, who's probably the hottest team in the UAAP right now. It's gonna be interesting to see how probably the best offensive team and one of the best defensive teams match up this coming Wednesday. But so far, so good for NU. Si Figueroa's looked well. Maybe he hasn't scored 20 plus points, but he's in playmaking. I think that's another part of his game that's being underlooked this season. And he had, I think, a crazy opening match, 2 steals and 5 blocks. Or 5 steals and 2 blocks, I think.
5 steals and 2 blocks ata.
So pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. NU has been all over the floor on the defensive end. Even si Steve Nash had some highlights were posted online. And I think what's interesting to look out for NU is how they match up against the top teams. Diba? Kasi right now, they've been against UE and FEU and they've basically steamrolled and basically shown that they are above them so far this season. And let's see this Wednesday. Can they keep it up against UST? But so far, so good for NU. And let's see what happens.
Before we move lang to our Boleros, and we've gone such a long time on our ballers dahil sa Ateneo. I do want to give a shout out to Kirby Moncopa. I thought he really needed that good game. It came in a loss against NU.
Almost brought FEU back.
Yeah, I mean they
got the lead.
He got the lead. Actually, he brought FEU back. Almost gave FEU the win.
Yeah, so this guy has not played basketball in 2 years. He from our sources, he went through an accident, got a really bad injury, and now he's finally back playing. I'm happy for him, and he needed this game. He needed a good game to get him back on track. Because I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. In VJ Press batch, in that batch of FEU Baby Tamara from that championship team, I was most impressed with Kirby Moncopa. So I'm happy to see him back, and I'm happy he got a good game. Let's just hope it comes in more wins for the FEU Tamanos.
Something to look out for kay kung if you're Joshua Coronel, 'di ba? Kagaylat mong Copa having a breakout game in the second game in the UAP.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about, sadly, our Boleros. Let's start with you, Gab, this time.
Well, I did mention him already. My Bolero of the week is Precious Momowei. Now, I was overreacting when we did our It's Just One Game But. That Precious Momowei is the most disappointing FSA ever. I'm not really sure it's an overreaction right now. Because honestly, what the hell, dude? Uh, like in the game a while ago against UP. Now I know it's UP, but come on, bro. You're against a zone and you're attacking like KD from the perimeter. People are gonna collapse on you. For guards, you attacking from the perimeter and doing your whatever isolation is like barbecue chicken for guards. They will reach in and force you into turnovers. Uh, and also, you're way taller than guards. Why are you putting the ball down in the paint? They will swipe at it. I really don't get this guy. It's like he. Listen, our criticisms of Precious Momowei back in season 86 and during his rookie year are the same criticisms we have of Precious Momowei right now in season 88. He has not improved. Like, we talked about his free throw shooting. It's still bad. We talked about what I said, his isolation scoring, his tendency to do it all. He's still doing it. We talk about his turnovers. He's still doing it. I don't know. He's just so disappointing to me and so frustrating to watch. And I don't know if I'm guys like John. I don't know what John Abate and Welo Lingo Lingo tell Precious when he's on the court or when he's in practice. But I'm sure they tell him that, hey, Precious, you might wanna do the playmaking back to us guards. Like, diba, in
Leave
the
the
game,
playmaking to the guards.
diba, yung leave the playmaking to the guards. Like, for example, in the game against Ateneo, he should have, when Jaden Lazo, you missed that free throw, he should have given up that ball instead of trying to dribble it for the win. Him, from full court. Diba? It's just so frustrating. Honestly, UE almost won against Ateneo, but they were blown out by Noy Remogat and UP a while ago. But they also have to point the finger at themselves because really they were also beating themselves. They were falling right into UP's traps and defense because I don't know, si Precious talaga mukhang has not learned much in this is now his third season in the UAP. Mukhang he's not learned much. Very frustrating. I know it's not the best of seasons, the best of lineups for UE, but he's the guy. He's the guy that they depend on, and he has to be better. He has to be better, and he has to learn from his mistakes because so far it looks like he's not learning from his mistakes.
I think if there's an award maybe of an FSA who has disappointed us the most, I think that for the past decade or so, I think Precious Momowei could be in contention. The expectations were so high to the point that we were calling him the best FSA last season, heading into last season, and the front runner to MVP. I'm guilty to that, and it's super frustrating. When they changed coaches with Chris Cavina, we were expecting him to be better, him to be utilized a better way. I think Coach Chris even gave out a very crazy expectations that Momowei expects to get to the EuroLeague. And so far, that hasn't been the case. So far, Momowei has looked disappointing. So far, Momowei has probably looked worse than he did last season or even more so nung rookie season niya. And I think it's bit frustrating, diba? As you mentioned, Gab, to his teammates. I think they have to do a better job of controlling maybe yung how he's being utilized, how he plays the game, and it shows naman eh. He's also getting so frustrated with his turnovers, with his crazy fouls. I think he has to do a better job if UAE is to turn around this season. But so far, pretty disappointing. So the expectations was so sky high for this guy. He looked like a guy that could be an MVP in the UAP, but that's so far from where he is right now. Sam.
To be fair naman, he still puts up numbers. I think a while ago against UP had 18 points, 10 rebounds,
18 points,
uh,
yeah, top scored.
well, 4 blocks, 5 assists. So he puts up numbers. But you also look at the stat line. He had 7 turnovers, was a -9 on the floor, 6 out of 16 from the free throw line. Oh my goodness sake! So it's the same story. He puts up numbers, but if you watch him on the court, my goodness, is he frustrating? I don't know, Sammy, your take, and or if you have a Bolero pick.
Yeah, Precious Momowei is up there. Alam ko, I was expecting you to say that kasi grabe na yung mga rants mo din sa chat natin.
Hindi, because nanonood ako ng UE games eh. So I get to
Yeah.
watch their games.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to watch him.
Yeah.
Kahit naman
yeah,
siya, he's
for
getting
sure.
frustrated.
And that's where I was gonna go, Maui. What's frustrating is Precious cares eh. Like this guy has been super passionate about like winning ever since. And maganda yung sinabi mo na we sort of know what we can expect from him before eh, na set na niyang mataas yung standard. So when you see him like doing those turnovers, that's what I think is frustrating because he can do really well but he makes those mistakes. So I think that's what's frustrating about Precious. So I feel bad for him then, diba? So I don't wanna harp on him too much. But sige, moving on. Next Bolero of the week. Let's start with you, Maui.
Yeah, I have to say it. Even if they won the game a while ago, I have to say it's the UP Fighting Maroons so far, diba? I mean, who would have thought that they would lose their first two games? Even if you say that they were against good teams, the UAAP, the UP Fighting Maroons were a dominant force nung off-season and they won. If you watch yung Fail Oil Finals, I don't even think you should call it a finals game because they just blew out their opponent. Diba? I mean, this UP team is still talented from top to bottom, 1 to 16. But they've looked disconnected. They've looked lost. I don't know if it's because a lot of them are graduating and maybe want to showcase their talents for pro leagues, both local and abroad. I think UP fans maybe have some glimmer of hope with how they were able to utilize their key guys a while ago. Remogat had a breakout game, scoring 20 points and I think 11 assists. Basically from the start, playing pretty well, hitting three pointers. I think in first quarter, and I think it's pretty frustrating. The fans are frustrated for sure. The rotations are so wild that during the first game, I think Gab, you mentioned this. During the first game, I think most of the guys already played by not even by the second quarter or during early parts of the second quarter, and I think that's what's most concerning because this is not SBP basketball. When you play five guys or when you play five guys per quarter, at the end of the day, you'll have to have a decent 8 to 10 man rotation.
Alam pa ba ng mga tao ang SBP? That's a random thought.
Maybe not. Maybe not. It revealed our early stages yung in basketball, but this is not that type of basketball, diba? At the end of the day, you'll have to have 8 to 10 guys that you could trust who could play heavy minutes. And so far, the rotations of UP have been all over the place. We talked about yung problems na with that power forward slot. It's been that issue for all the slots, I would say. Maybe the most consistent is maybe si Baila playing heavy minutes. So wing slot, he was also pretty good during the game a while ago. Nuruka probably played his best game so far for UE for UP. But I think that's what's most concerning. 'Di ba? Kasi we talk about continuity and how it's pretty important for championship teams in the UAAP. And despite UP fielding basically the same lineup minus the three top guys, Kagulangan, Lopez, and QMB, they haven't looked like the team who has chemistry and who is cohesive on the floor, on both ends of the floor. And I think that's something that they have to really work on. I would say that if they want to seal to get that twice to beat advantage, every game in the first round is a must win. 'Di ba? Kasi it's always that you need to get to 10 wins to get twice to beat, and they're 1 and 2 right now. But they have the talent. They have the coaching staff who's proven. So anything is still possible. They could easily sweep the whole first round from today. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they develop yung chemistry, how they Coach Gold will be able to develop maybe 8 to 10 guys that he could fully trust, because I think people have overreacted on how this UP team is. Some people have been comparing them even to the teams before Coach Bo. But I think they have the talent, they have the coaching staff, they're proven. Anything is still possible. They could easily still be the top team at the end of the standings. And if today was an indication, it's a pretty good indication of where they can be.
Yeah, yung para sa akin, Maui, I agree. I hope that the game a while ago kind of snaps them out of their funk, whatever funk that they were in. But yung concerning sa akin is what you said, and I think I said this before, is that si Coach Gold is searching. Hindi niya alam yung rotation niya. Hindi niya alam sino yung pagkakatiwalaan niya sa team niya. Kaya niya niro-rotate yung halos buong lineup niya because he really doesn't know, and that's concerning to me. And I think I said this to someone who said that they think Coach Gold is experimenting. Experimenting? They've been playing for months. Why are you experimenting now? Diba? You had months to experiment. You've been playing with this same team for months since season 87 ended, since the start of the Pinoy Liga Collegiate Cup or whatever. They have been playing the same guys. Si Palangka lang naman yung bago eh. All of these guys have been playing together for months. They cannot be experimenting now. So, yun para sa I think really Coach Gold is just as confused as we are to what's happening on the floor. Why is there no chemistry? Why are people making tight passes? You making home run passes? Why are the players turning the ball over constantly? Why are they not trusting each other? So I think Coach Gold is also trying to find answers, and I hope he got some a while ago in the game against UE. You mentioned si Noy Remogat. He could easily be a Bolero of the week. If not for his game a while ago, diba? If he had a subpar game a while ago, we would be putting him here in our Bolero of the week. Because he averaged 2.5 points per game. That's not Ray Remogat. That's he played 9 minutes in the game against UST. Majority of those in garbage time. So at least it got him going. I do hope it's nothing like a game against the UE Red Warriors to get Noy Remogat going.
Against your former team.
Against your former team. So kudos to you, Noy Remogat, to get out of it. I hope this continues. Same as Maui, I hope we get to see something stable. A stable rotation for the UP Fighting Maroons. So far, it has looked all over the place. I don't know. You talked about Baila. I do think he needs more minutes. I do remember in the UST game, Jacob Baila had a good stretch in the first quarter, and even in the second quarter, and then he was subbed out. I'm like, what? I do remember that, having that reaction in the UST game. Baila had a good stretch. I think hit a 3, then hit a layup in the paint. Then next possession, he was subbed out. I'm like, what? What is Coach Gold doing? But anyway, that's one of my reactions. I think he should get more minutes. Si Jacob
And be
Baila.
more aggressive.
Yeah, and be more aggressive. I think you could. I think he could be your power forward. Honestly, if they're searching for a power forward and pinipilit nila yung two bigs. Just put yung Jacob Baila at the 4. He's big enough, can stretch the floor, better spacing for them. He's not as bad defensively compared to Belmonte. I think he'll be perfect as their answer to power forward. I think they should go that route. That's just my thought. It puzzles me why sometimes he's playing really well and he gets subbed out. So, yun lang for me. Baka nanonood si Coach Gold pala ng Boleros bilang fellow kalbo. So, yun. Sammy, your thoughts on your UP Fighting Maroons?
I think nasabi ko na rin yung what I felt when we talked about them the previous podcast. I think the problem also here is like hindi clear yung main guy nila versus like the previous seasons when you had guys like Tamayo and Kagulangan, even Lopez and QMB and Diouf, diba? It's really hard to compare this to last season's team because they lost QMB, Lopez, and Kagulangan. But I'm not gonna make that as an excuse for UP to be 1-2 right now because they're so deep. Sobrang deep nila as a team. They're so talented and like you mentioned, Maui, okay, maybe you don't have the same star level. Some people would argue, but some of the commenters din sa podcast have said, these guys know each other for so long, have known each other for so long, have played with
Dekada
each
na yung iba.
other since they were in high school. So, it should come natural na, ideally, diba? Like, ideally, they really know Coach Gold's system. So, they do deserve to be Boleros for me. Even if they got their bounce back win earlier today, I think the other games were also winnable, especially the Adamson game, diba? But wala, they're still figuring things out, and I think yung one of the reasons nga is like, sino ba talaga yung main guy or go-to guy? Is it Remogat? Is it Alarcon? It's like these two guys are still feeling each other out. I think Alarcon didn't have a good game today. Remogat had a good game. The other games, Alarcon was more decent. At least he was good for half a
the
game.
same.
Yung parang patong
Yes, ikaw.
JD, good game. Sige, si Harold, step back muna. Is this gonna be the same trend?
Diba? So that, yun yung parang big question for me. So, I get it. Masakit sabihin for UP fans, but you have to give them like the Bolero of the week lang naman. We'll see how they bounce back the next week. Okay. I also had UP. For me, I sort of talked about them. Well, actually, na-mention na natin si Ray Remogat, Harold Alarcon, you can put him there, but I'm gonna lump these guys together. High expectation guys that have not performed yet, are some of my boleros. So we talked about Ray Remogat, I mentioned Harold Alarcon. Other guys, Kean Baclaan, I know he laid
On
an
my
egg
list.
nung first game niya. I know he did better nung game against UST, but I think he is injured or
Ankle
he's
injury.
nursing something,
He
diba?
didn't play.
An ankle
Second
injury
half.
or something. So, second half, he didn't play. That sucks for him. He was one of the biggest trash talkers nung off-season. Against all the teams. Against Ateneo, I remember he was taunting Ateneo and Moro Lorenzo. Even nung first half of the game against UST, he was back to his old self. Akala ko, I thought. But sad to see him not be 100% because we were really expecting a lot from the duo of Jacob Cortez and Kean Baclaan. And we didn't mention Jacob Cortez, but Jacob Cortez has been legit, has been really, really good. Looks unstoppable, could be a contender for MVP. So, seeing Jacob Cortez do really well also in the first two games and Kean Baclaan not doing so well, parang it looks really bad on Baclaan. So, I do hope yung injury niya is nothing serious, so that he can get back. So, Remogat, Baclaan, the other guy that I also wanted to mention Shawn Tuano. We expected a lot from him,
Has laid
but
2 eggs.
yes, has laid 2 eggs. We expected a lot from him, but the good thing for Shawn is they're winning, and I think that's like if you're part of a winning team, if you're not playing well, it's fine
You
because
get
ideally it's
shielded.
fine. Kasi it gets shielded. Your team is winning. As long as the other guys are playing really well, then it's okay. You guys talked about it in Ateneo. They will have their time. Like Sean Tuano could break out one game and give Ateneo a win, and that's fine. But so far, we really expected a lot from this guy. So I think those were the guys na parang high expectations during the off season that hasn't delivered so far. Versus like sina Omar John, who has been really good. Um, yeah, other than that, sort of lalump in ko na rin dito, injuries. So, Competente I wanted to mention because they lost him to ACL. Divine Adili starting Ateneo starting Kyle Ong nung first game because Divine Adili got injured before he played his first game. So, hopefully wala nang injuries for any of the teams. Lasal, Ateneo, UP, whatever. So, we can get to see all the teams complete and compete for have a really good season 88. So yun siguro yung mga runner-up boleros ko.
I do have.
Any yeah, honorable mentions.
The referees.
Bolero ba yan or baller? Any,
Bolero.
actually any, just sabihin mo.
Bolero. The referees. I think we all talked. I think, well, two of us, Sammy, talked about the the crazy calls that they did in the UP Adamson game. Those refs were suspended.
Suspended. Yeah.
I think for 3 games. That's a lot. They were suspended for 3 games. So everyone knows about the 4 players on the court and that how they didn't stop play for 20 seconds, which led to an Adamson turnover. We all know that, and I think that it has to be. We just talked about the faking a foul calls on Ian Espinosa, which we thought were not. We also talked about, and I think we didn't talk about the UST LaSalle game yesterday. That second half was so long. They had so many reviews. Well, diba? Ang daming reviews.
Ang daming nagreklamo.
Balik si
Daming
Dati
nagreklamo
Joey.
ng haba ng games. Pati si Ayala, I think, complained.
Wait, si Alex Ayala or si Noli Ayala?
Noli Ayala.
Kala ko si Alex. Nagsignal
Si Comeyala.
Nanonood pala eh, no?
So, yeah, I think warranted. Diba? Second half of UST LaSalle, as you said, Sammy, was so long because there's so many reviews, there were so many altercations. And here's another thing. It was said in the preseason that Commissioner Jai Reyes would implement FIBA-style reviews. Diba? They would put mics on the refs. You would hear the conversation.
Sinabi ba yun? Like, the mic specifically?
Yeah!
I do remember FIBA-style rules.
Oh! Yeah! It was. They're trying to elevate the way reviews are done. And we talked about this here, Sammy, yung on the podcast. So, I'm like, where is it? Because honestly, yun yung nakakainis eh. With so many reviews yesterday in the UST LaSalle game, no one knew what they were talking about. No one knew what was happening. Even the guys on the call, I think was it Isaac? Si Isaac, diba? Si Isaac ko. He was also in the dark. He was also guessing. I think they're reviewing for an unsportsmanlike foul. Oh no! It's a faking a foul on this guy or something. They're also in the dark. We don't know. It's so frustrating that there are so many reviews and we don't know what they're reviewing. So I don't know. I think we have to step up the referee game. On all fronts, we have to step up. Because it's getting frustrating, especially that we've seen something better in what FIBA is doing. And it's not like I don't think it's a big adjustment, personally. Just to show and to hear the conversation of of the referees. So yun. I think the refereeing deserves a minor bolero of the week. It's a rough start for Jai Reyes and his team.
Imagine, Gab, no, yung 4-on-5 play na yon. Imagine if naka-mic'd up yung referees and the referees were discussing, ano nangyari doon? Paano ba? Hindi
Yun nga
ko
eh.
kasi,
Di
hindi
ba?
ko napansin. Like, they would have been booed to, like, they would not have heard the end of it. Like, that would
Di
have
ba?
been really crazy. So, let's mic them up. Mic them up. Let's
Di
see.
ba?
Tapos maririnig mo rin yung mga coaches mag-complain, yung players. Para mahuli natin talagang, sira ulo tong player na to, minura yung ref mo, ganyan.
No. Di ba? I don't know. In FIBA is like a really, it puts you closer to the game. Di ba? To hear the
It makes it
conversation.
more transparent siguro.
Yeah. Yun din, di ba? Like you're watching a game from another part of the world, but it feels like you're there because you're hearing even the discussions between the coaches and the refs. You're hearing the refs discuss things. So I don't know. It makes it a more interactive experience for viewers. So that's just me.
Any
Saka
other honorable
educational.
mentions? Yeah. Yeah,
Educational, di ba?
true, Maui.
Yeah, Sam, actually, honorable mention ko also is Kean Baclaan. And I think sort of Lasal, uh, they were able to squeak out against Adamson. But imagine if they lost that game, they'd be 0-2. They'd start the season 0-2 also. I think the fact that both UP and LaSalle have looked like mortals is something pretty new. This is not common probably from if you watch the UAP only if you only started watching the UAP 2 seasons ago, you'd probably be getting surprised a lot with how they are performing to start the season. And I think for guys that want parity, for guys that want the season to be crazy, it's something to celebrate. But for LaSalle people and UP people, it's pretty frustrating to start a start that they did not probably expect from their teams. And I'm here to say that they are still, in my opinion, they are still the top contenders. It's nothing to be worried about. It's nothing. There's no level of panic. I would say for both of these teams. Anything is still possible. We're only 2-3 games into the season. Remember, a lot of teams start pretty slow and steamroll second round. Remember, just look at UE. Diba? They were 5-2 last season. Everybody was saying they were dark horse championship contenders. So anything is still possible. But so far, both of those teams, I would say, very questionable. Some of the rotation decisions that the coaches have laid out. And I would say si Mason Amos is maybe an honorable mention just because of how La Salas utilize him on offense. And
Honorable mention
one
na
He's
Bolero?
he's one of
Bolero.
my ballers.
Bolero. Really?
He's one of my ballers sa ano tawag mo dito, UST game just because he was actually playing really well against Akoe. I don't know why they didn't use him. Hindi, I think he got into foul trouble nga pala. But I think he stretched the floor against Akoe, hit a couple of threes, defended Akoe really well dun sa a few minutes that he was playing, but sayang, he wasn't utilized that much din sa Lasal. So he could have been one of my ballers sana for this. Kung tuloy-tuloy lang, kung consistent lang.
Yeah, but for me kasi he's still struggling with foul trouble, 'di ba, against the FSH.
Yeah, yun nga, nag-foul trouble nga siya eh.
I
He
think
could have been, sinulat ko yun, Mason Amos, baller. Nandun sa notes ko.
And I think 10 out of 13 of his shots are from three-point land. So talk about being utilized the same way on the offensive end. Maybe
Right now, he's a specialist.
Yeah, he's a specialist. But hopefully, I mean, we've seen some development. He's leaner, he's faster, he's more aggressive on defense. I think yung blocks and steals niya would tell you the story that there is change. But hopefully, continues to improve. Remember, he only has 2 more UAAP seasons to prove that he could play abroad. So, I mean, maybe I'm expecting a faster faster development because of how we've seen si KQ every off-season. Diba? So let's see how it unfolds. Las Alas had Amos for a year or so now.
Yeah. I think that's it. We're done with our first Bolos
That's
and
it.
Boleros of the week. Sobrang haba na ng conversation na to, 1 hour 15 minutes. So, we're done with more or less like 2-3 games for each team. Next game is on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that. Big game for NU versus UST, two undefeated teams. So, I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Comment down below your Ballers and Boleros of the week. Let us know your thoughts. If you haven't yet, please like, share this podcast, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.